All right, what about actually doing with collisions? Where are my collisions? There you are. So there's a couple kinds of collisions I got to worry about. The first one is if the projectile hits the enemy, and the second one is if the enemy hits the base. So let's start with we hit an enemy. So if the class tag is a projectile, and the not moving class tag is the enemy, enemy, what was that? Enemy, there we go. Then moving dot destroy, not moving dot destroy. And this is where we would add money for just actually destroying the enemy. This is where the other side of that equation comes from. Enemies will be 20. If you had multiple enemies, then you could change each of them to be their own different amount. Now we need to figure out how to pull it out of that enemy list array. So I haven't done that yet. I will make another method to do that. So this clear enemy is actually going to be fairly similar in idea to how I originally created the destroying objects. So I'm actually going to go down by the clear objects and take a look at that in order to understand how we're going to do the clear enemies. So clear objects. The idea of this is we walk through the list of all the objects that are currently in the game, check to see if any of them are to be destroyed. They're marked as to be deleted. If we find one, we basically move all of those particular objects that are after it one down. So it's basically like shuffling down the list and moving everything one space forward from that point, because I started at the point of this particular object. And then at the very end, I set that last one to null, subtract one from the index, and then check again, because it's possible that I might have two in a row that are to be deleted. So clear enemy is going to be very similar to that. So let's just use it right here to use this idea as a template. So this is going to remove destroyed enemies from its list. So we need to do a walkthrough. That should be a 0. Go up to the list max and go through each one, because this is the size of my enemy list. If this enemy that we're passing in, because we're going to pass in which object we need to destroy, so if it matches that particular slot in the array, then we know that this thing that's at A is the thing we need to get rid of. We're going to do almost the same idea, this B equals A idea. B is less than list max, less than, this is an array, so we're going to have to do -1, because we always start counting at 0. B++. So we need to move things in the enemy list down 1 to be B+1. And we also have that parallel array of coordinates. Otherwise, we're going to screw up the path. Everyone will get their neighbor's next coordinate. Equals enemy coordinate B+1. That space bothers me, so I'm going to fix that. Okay, so that's going to move them all down 1. I need to set this guy equal to null. Let's see, do I need to set enemy coordinate to anything? I guess I could. List max. There we go. That's the right capitalization. So we'll reset that back to a 0, and then we need to subtract 1 from the max value. And just in case we're destroying more than one enemy, we shouldn't be, Yeah, but I'm paranoid. I'll leave that in. Okay, so that should clear an enemy out. So that was the collision here. So let's see if that works. I'm going to place my towers a little closer this time. Destory. Yeah, that's not a thing. Destory. Boy, I did it twice. Oh dear. Hopefully I haven't trained my fingers to type the wrong thing. Cool. Of course, this also points out that probably enemies should have their own number of hits they can take. You would then have a third parallel array, which is how many hits they've taken, and you just subtract one from that, and if that reaches 0, you destroy it. Hopefully you have the general idea of how to use parallel arrays at this point, though. Now, what about destroying the base? So if the enemy goes and hits the base, we should probably make sure we subtract one from the overall health. So if moving class tag is an enemy and not moving class tag is base, well, we better destroy the enemy so he doesn't just constantly step on the base and just completely remove all the health. And then we'll subtract maybe 20, and then clear the enemy just like above. You should probably check for endgame here too. So now comes the long test. You know what? I am impatient. Let's do this. Your speed is now 4. Much better. No. Did I give base a tag? Nope. And again. It's kind of a weird coordination diagonal there. There we go. Well, that gives you the basic idea of how to do all of these functions for the game. This is not a complete game, obviously. You would probably want to have multiple enemies. You would probably want to have enemies that have a certain number of health, something to end the game when the base runs out of health, things like that. But it gives you some of the basics you'll need for it.